Eyewitness News at 9 is next. Tonight, sheriff's deputies chase a bank robbery suspect, and it all ends with the suspect's death.
First, it was the cheating allegations, then an NCAA investigation, then the Clem Haskins buyout. Now, the U wants its money back.
An alarming study puts Minnesota near the top when it comes to children staying home alone.
Plus, it's been 2 months since floodwater damaged parts of Egan. After all the cleanup and frustrations, some of the problems just won't go away.
You are watching KSTC-TV, Channel 45.
This is your new news at 9.
Live from KSTC-TV, this is Channel 45 Eyewitness News at 9.
A suspected bank robber in a pickup truck took off with Dakota County Sheriff deputies chasing him, and in the end, a shooting. Good evening, everyone. I'm Harris Faulkner.
And I'm Cale Remicker. Thank you for joining us tonight. Within the last few minutes, we have learned the suspect in that shooting has died. Eyewitness News reporter Heather Filkins joins us live from Farmington with the information about the bank robbery and the events that followed. Heather?
Well, that's right, Cale. We're here on Highway 50 in Farmington, which is normally a pretty quiet residential street. But that all changed this afternoon when a Dakota County Sheriff's deputy shot a bank robbery suspect. That suspect, as we've just learned, did die in surgery at Regions Hospital. Now, it all started around 2 o'clock in Hayward. That is about 5 miles east of Albert Lee, down in southern Minnesota. A man in his 50s went into the Americana National Bank and showed them a revolver. He asked for only large bills and put them in a plastic grocery bag. Then he sped off, but the folks at the bank did manage to get his license tag number. Then, 3 hours later, he and his stolen car were spotted right here in Dakota County. Now, the suspect was in a GMC pickup when Dakota County deputies saw him. As he traveled north on Highway 3, a Farmington officer put down stop sticks to try to disable him. But he drove around those, pulling into the driveway of this home. That's when he got out, showing officers his weapon. Then, a 6-year veteran of the Dakota County Sheriff's Department shot him once in the chest.
It's unfortunately the world in which we find ourselves, and it's not a new experience for the Dakota County Sheriff's Office.
Now, the man was in his 50s. He was a white male, probably somewhere between 50 and 60 years old. He was taken away by ambulance, and then a helicopter flew him to St. Paul to Regions Hospital, where we're told he died in surgery at about 8:08 tonight. Now, the FBI is investigating. In fact, they've been talking to the folks who live in this home here right behind me. We're told that these folks were actually out on their front lawn and watched the whole thing happen right in front of them.
Heather Filkins live in Farmington tonight. Thanks.
Coach Clem Haskins got a big check when he left the University of Minnesota after an academic scandal. Now the U has decided it wants its money back. Eyewitness News reporter Matt Dillman is on the story live at the U of M tonight. And Matt, it's been more than a year since Haskins left.
That's right. It took a while to get to this decision, Harris, to go after the money and Haskins. But the university says that once all the evidence was in, that decision became very easy. He used to run the court at the U of M. Now the U is taking him to court. Today, the university announced it is suing the man who led its basketball team for 13 years. Is asking former coach Clem Haskins to cough up more than $1 million. University attorneys say they want to even the score for what they call the coach's deception and dishonesty.
The university got ripped off, and we want our money back.
That's right. The money they want is the money they used to buy out Haskins' contract last summer. At the time, university officials believed Coach Haskins when he told them he knew nothing about tutor Jan Gengelhoff, who wrote papers for his players.
No comment at all.
Now, they don't believe him, saying that in July, Haskins admitted he secretly paid Gengelhoff $3,000, later admitting it to the NCAA. That admission is what the attorneys call the smoking gun that could have been used to fire Haskins last summer instead of paying out his contract.
9 different times he said he did not pay her. Now, by my count, what that means is that he stepped up to the plate 9 times. He could have told the truth, and he struck out on all 9 times.
In addition to repeatedly failing to tell the truth, the lawsuit also alleges that Haskins covered up evidence of dishonest practices, told his players to mislead the university, and of misleading the university himself into paying him more than $1.5 million to buy out the rest of his contract. Haskins now lives in Kentucky. His attorneys here in town released a statement tonight, part of which says the university's allegations are false. It now wants to undo the agreement, claiming it was hoodwinked. The university was fully aware of the Gangelhoff accusations and the media reports. If it was relying on anything said by Coach Haskins, it should have explicitly stated so in the buyout agreement. And his attorneys say they are confident they will prevail in this case, Harris.
Well, Matt, what about the money in all this? Actually taking him to court could get quite expensive for the university.
Yeah, sure can. You know what? They pointed that out today. They don't want to spend a lot of money on this lawsuit. That's why they're using their own attorneys, but they say they will use all their resources, whatever it takes, to win this case.
All right, Matt Dillman reporting live for us tonight. Thank you very much. After returning from vacation late Sunday night, the volatile Bobby Knight talked to a crowd of supporters. Knight coached basketball at Indiana University for more than 29 years and was fired yesterday. Several thousand people turned out to protest his termination. Police arrested 10 people, mostly for disorderly conduct. Knight showed up to the gathering to speak on his own behalf.
Within the next 2 days, I'm going to get together with as many students who will want to come, and I'm going to tell you my side of this thing.
Now, it was behavior like this that you're seeing in the video here that led the university to adopt a no-tolerance policy with regard to Knight's treatment of student athletes. But Knight reportedly grabbed a student and yelled at him recently, and that led to the firing.
Federal agents arrested a Twin Cities man today for supposedly hacking into the computers of a nuclear weapons laboratory. The 21-year-old man is from Bloomington. The computers he apparently accessed are at the Livermore National Laboratory. That is in Livermore, California. Agents arrived at the apartment of Benjamin Bruninger early this morning. He's charged with unauthorized access of a protected computer. Bruninger's roommate says he had no idea what was going on.
I can't think of why anybody would want to hack into a facility. I mean, there's better ways to get your jollies than off of hacking into a federal facilities.
The Livermore National Lab is run by the University of California, Berkeley. The lab holds many of our country's nuclear secrets. The FBI says Bruninger didn't gain access to any classified information, but he did disrupt the lab's administrative network.
A level 3 sex offender is still on the loose tonight. Police say Gregory Welch attacked a woman at a popular local park at least 4 times. The last time, just days after a court appearance. Tonight, Eyewitness News reporter Kathleen Shannon looks into why Hennepin and Ramsey County officials are blaming each other in all of this and looks at loopholes in the sex crimes laws. Kathleen?
Well, Harris, level 3 is the worst of the state classifications for a sex offender. State investigators gave it to Gregory Welch because they consider him extremely likely to attack women in a sexual way again and again. Yet Welch has never been convicted of rape, which limits how the courts can sentence him. And that's only the beginning of why Ramsey and Hennepin counties are blaming each other for being too lax in his prosecution. It was shocking enough for people to find out that Gregory Welch had attacked a 4th woman at Battle Creek Regional Park in broad daylight and while she pushed a baby stroller. The Ramsey County commissioners want to know now why he was out in public in the first place. And just 2 days before, he pleaded guilty to groping a woman's thigh in this downtown Minneapolis office building. It was a felony count of attempted criminal sexual contact, but he was released without bail to await sentencing.
The fear is this person shouldn't be released. This person clearly had an extensive criminal history, and he should be incarcerated. He should be in prison.
Ramsey County Commissioner Dino Guerin also wants to know why Hennepin officials never notified St. Paul police that Welch intended to live there after his release.
We're asking a criminal to do the notification for us when clearly it's the law enforcement and the correction people that ought to take the responsibility to notify people that we have a very serious offender coming to our community.
But Hennepin County officials say that Guerin should shine a spotlight on his own court system.
Well, it was frustrating to us that the sex crimes committed in their jurisdiction were bargained down to false imprisonment, so there wasn't even a prior sex conviction there.
Hennepin prosecutors say at least they got that, even though apparently Ramsey County never told them that Welch was classified as a level 3 sex offender.
sex offenders whose offenses are perhaps less violent, although maybe not any less violating, can commit their crimes, be it fondling or pimping, over and over again, and still get probationary sentences. And that maybe the sentence...
Now, the one thing that both sides do agree on is that the system needs to be reevaluated, that the state may need to strengthen the sex crime laws so that situations like this do not happen again. Harris?
Kathleen, thank you very much.
A St. Paul neighborhood is trying to heal the wounds between Asians and African Americans after a shooting at a liquor store last month. People in the Capitol Heights and Frogtown neighborhoods held a peace summit tonight to talk about the racial tension growing along University Avenue. Some neighbors tell us the shooting touched a nerve between Asians and African Americans. Last month, prosecutors charged Can Win Min with assault after police say he chased the suspected shoplifter and shot him in the street. Some community leaders believe African Americans don't feel welcomed in nearby stores.
I think the shooting, that's the main point that, it might be a stereotype or something that the tension between each other.
It's troubling because, well, these neighborhoods are built for all people.
The people behind tonight's summit hope both sides can meet again to avoid another possible incident.
A summer storm took Eau Claire by surprise. We'll show you how families are coping with more than 7 inches of rain.
They're 6 years old and home alone. The number of latchkey kids is on the rise in Minnesota. Coming up, we'll follow one little boy's lead as the school bell rings. Plus,
do television stations charge too much for political candidates for their campaign advertising? I'm Tom Hauser. That's an issue we'll look at in Focus 5.
You're watching Eyewitness News at 9 with Harris Faulkner, Cale Raymaker, Dave Dahl with weather, and Joe Schmidt with sports.
I'm Molly.
I'm Chris.
I'm Gregory.
And I'm 45.
And I'm 45.
And I am 45.
I'm Norman.
Jamie.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Amanda. And I'm 45.
45.
And I'm 45.
I'm Monica.
I'm Lucia.
I'm Pee-wee.
And I'm 45.
And I'm 45.
And I'm 45.
I'm 45.
45.
Minnesota is known as the land of
nothing.
Bye, Dot. I'd want you to remarry.
Yeah, looks like I'm going to make that mistake twice.
Is laughter the response you're going for in the bedroom?
No, but that's what I always get.
Where's the emergency exit?
Paying people to do right? You're killing me.
Channel 45. It's What's Next.
The large amount of rain in western Wisconsin is causing severe flooding, and that's what led to a man's death this morning. The man died after the car he was driving fell into a sinkhole caused by the flooding. 7.5 inches of rain and hail pelted Eau Claire overnight, leaving dozens of streets and homes sitting in several feet of water. The city's sewer system collapsed, and the storms also knocked out power to thousands. Crews are using boats to rescue people that are stranded in their homes. That's not too far away.
Yeah, really.
Bad
Very
stuff.
close. It seems like the last couple of days, most of the storms that have hit have just missed us, developed just to our east. And
a big change out there tonight.
Yeah, did you feel it? It is really
those
cool
winds
now.
blew through and the temperature dropped. It's fall.
Not only the temperature, but the humidity dropped as well. We had dew points in the 70s today. They dropped into the 40s right now. It is going to get chilly. As a matter of fact, there's the possibility of some frost up in northeastern Minnesota. Not for us down here in the Twin Cities, but once again, we missed the rainfall that came with that fairly strong cold front that moved through. Take a look at the rain from last night. We're going to show you that first, and look at the big thunderstorms just leaving Eau Claire. That is what left that 7.5 inches of rain. Then we went through about 12 hours without much happening. But again, a cool front developed late this afternoon. Watch that move into west central Wisconsin. Big storms there. Again, dropped some heavy rain around Eau Claire. And there were reports of possible funnel clouds reported by radar, but none confirmed. And it appears as though that storm activity is now pushed quickly into the eastern portions of Wisconsin away from us. And skies have cleared right now here in the Twin Cities. And currently, with that clear sky, it's a pretty evening across the Twin Cities. 61 for our current temp. The dew point now at a very comfortable 43. Compare that to 70s, the lower 70s earlier in the day. So much higher relative humidity. That has dropped to 51%. And a northwest breeze now at 14 miles per hour. Today's high temperature made it up to 82, though, before that front arrived. 96, the record set back in 1931. 35 this morning was the record low in 1962. This morning's low only 63. We're going to drop well below that tonight. And sunset is now at 7:34. Over the eastern part of the state, using our neighborhood weather net, you can see temperatures basically in the upper 50s already. It's down to 60 in Minneapolis and St. Paul, 58 though in Stillwater, 59 in Afton. And a close-up look at the White Bear Lake Central Middle School. Their high today was 84. Their current temp now stands at 59. And temperatures around much of eastern Minnesota have begun to cool off. And once again, that's behind that cool front, dropping the humidity and really starting to drop the temperatures. 48 already at this hour. International Falls, it's an even 50 at Hibbing, 54 at Grand Marais. We're at 61 still here in the Twin Cities, but temperatures will be dropping through the 50s, possibly even the upper 40s around the Twin Cities area. It's going to be one of the coolest nights we've had so far this fall season, or this late summer season, I should say. Look at this frontal system. That's what produced all the strong thunderstorms in central and eastern Wisconsin. That is pushing away from us, though. And as that happens, expect some sunshine during the day tomorrow. And as the high pressure moves on in, the winds will gradually lighten up during the day. So the forecast for tonight calls for the temperature to drop down to about 50. Clearing skies. We've had that happen already. Those northwest winds still quite strong throughout the night at about 10 to 20. Tomorrow morning, starting out with a partly cloudy day and 52. In the afternoon, still a few clouds around, but still quite a bit of sunshine. It's going to be a lot cooler than what we had today, though, because dew points are so much lower. It's 70 for the high. And coming up in the next half hour, we're going to give you the 5-day outlook. Plus, we're going to give you that all-important primary election day forecast.
Oh, cool.
A lot of people are sitting at home wondering why we're doing this newscast at 9 o'clock. You're the real reason why, Dave. See, all the research that people just could not get enough of you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I heard just the opposite. I thought it was kale.
And definitely not me. Thanks, Dave. We'll see you a little bit.
Thanks a lot, Dave. You at home are part of an historic night and day here, actually, in the Twin Cities. This is the first day of broadcast for KSTC-TV, Channel 45.
And this is obviously the first newscast at 9 o'clock. KSTC-TV operates from right here inside the Channel 5 studios. In fact, KSTC is owned by Hubbard Broadcasting, which is the parent company for KSTP-TV Channel 5, along with KSTP-AM and KS95-FM on the radio. In addition to an hour-long newscast 7 days a week at 9 o'clock, there's more Eyewitness News coming.
Starting next Monday, Eyewitness News Morning will air right here from 7 to 9 o'clock. Mike Binkley, Angela Davis, Jim Guy, and Rusty Gatenby will be right where we're sitting right now.
Right here. Check out KSTC45.com for a full list of programming, more about KSTC-TV, and where you can find us on every cable system in the metro. We're on some different channels, so log on to find out. And remember, we are Channel 45, so you don't have to have cable to receive our signal. You can get us over the air on Channel 45. And one of our weeknight features is something we call Kids Corner. That's coming up next.
And later at 9, what's going on here? It's the Torches trip to the Olympics. It has hit a definite bump in the road.
What is?
What is the big bad movie?
PETA, activists who hate people.
Lonely gravediggers that lack the ability to dream.
It's whatever you want it to be. We'll mold it to you.
It's all about me, baby.
It's big. It's bad. It's a big bad movie.
What is the big bad movie?
A religious shopping channel.
I don't get it.
This is what you used to see on Channel 45. Now you can see this.
I'm abrasive. I'm in your face.
Woo!
Feel free to mate with me.
Chicks like this.
What is the big bad movie?
Body parts that come alive by themselves.
A big scam.
Yeah, go on, yeah. 45.
No, you can't get too close to me. Now you can.
Watch.
The big bad
movie.
Weeknight. 7.
On.
45.
Good evening. I am Dracula.
Classic horror has a home again in the Twin Cities. Only on Channel 45. 12 midnight, Saturday nights. Join me.
This week on Lover or Loser.
Give me some of the abs.
These guys have the flash.
I have excellent hand-eye coordination.
But they don't have the cash.
Chad is so cheap.
He never paid for anything.
Should they stay?
I used to be an exotic dancer.
Or should they go?
I'm shaking. I can't decide what girl I want.
I'm not a dog, I'm just single.
Find out this week on Lover or Loser.
Weeknights at 10 on 45.
All right, each night here on Eyewitness News at 9, we're going to bring you stories for and about kids. It's of particular interest to Harris, so she's over in the kids' corner. Harris?
Okay, thanks a lot, Cale. When many Minnesota children leave school, they go home alone, becoming latchkey kids. A report by the Urban Institute says 17% of Minnesota children between the ages of 6 and 9 are home by themselves after school. 56%, ages 10 to 12, take care of themselves after school. Those are among the highest numbers of latchkey children in the entire nation. Channel 5's Vanita Sakar has more on one program that offers an important option for working parents.
The school day is over, but the fun is just beginning for these kids at Hillcrest Community School.
To boot up, it can't boot up in 5 seconds.
They're part of the Safari program. It takes place before and after school and is a great option for working parents who don't want their kids to go home to an empty house.
So if there's stuff available, I can't see how you can go home and be by yourself. But it also depends on the parents who are working and if they just can't afford it as well. So it depends on the families as well as what's available.
You can be orange. You can be orange.
The Urban Institute report shocks some educators who say programs like this are an affordable option instead of letting kids go home to an empty house. On average, it costs $7 to $8 a day for parents.
We know that there are children who go home to empty homes, dark homes, and that's why we provide these kinds of programs. It's a service to the community and the service to the parents.
Security is an important part of the Safari program. Kids can only leave when an approved adult or parent signs them out. Educators say this is an important and safe choice, and they hope more parents take advantage of it. Vanita Sakar, Eyewitness News.
And an interesting note, the study we mentioned found more non-minority and wealthier parents are letting their kids take care of themselves after school. Cale?
Governor Ventura wants the state to pay more of the bill for public education. In doing so, the governor hopes to reduce property taxes that go to fund schools. The state determines the amount of money school districts will get based on how many general and special education students are enrolled. Now, since the state sets those amounts, Governor Ventura would like the state to bear more of the cost. But today, he was short of specifics.
The thing was just to get it out there to possibly now it'll be a good discussion for the campaigns coming up, and certainly I've put 3 or 4 of my key commissioners are, working at it and looking at it.
It's a goal that I think is worthy to look at. The specifics of getting to the goal is just really filled with that devil being in the detail.
House Speaker Steve Swigum says changing the sales tax to include groceries and clothing is not an option to raise more money for schools. Governor Ventura is asking, do I stand alone? That's the title of his new book based on his life story. Tonight in Roseville, the governor made his first and only local appearance for the book's release. Governor Ventura was anything but alone. Nice shades. All sorts of fans of all ages showed up, some asking the governor to push his political career further.
Parents love you, my grandma loves you, run for president.
Well, tell them I'm honored and flattered, thank you, but I don't want the job. Who's this woman?
The governor tells us this book takes over where his last book, I Ain't Got Time to Bleed, left off.
Millions of people suffer with a painful disorder.
And it's one that's often misdiagnosed. Keep watching because we're going to have that story and more in our health news along with helpful consumer information.
And see if you can guess which Twin Cities roadway made the list of the nation's worst. We're back in 90 seconds.
When defending your civil rights isn't a game, and your day in court is your only lifeline,
You want the best attorney money can buy. The nation's most high-powered attorneys are finally on your side, and they're playing to win.
She can't be believed, Your Honor.
Think of it as who wants to have a millionaire's lawyer.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, it is. Power of attorney. Real people, real cases, real good lawyers.
Weekdays at 3 on 45.
In my courtroom, it's not enough to say you're ordered to do this or that. It's more important to me that people also understand the life lessons that go on long after the judgment ends.
I made you a promise in my chambers that I am not giving up on you.
We're going to follow through with these cases to ensure that there was resolution. And if not, then what can we do to make it better?
Judge Hatcher, one dedicated judge can make a difference.
Weekdays at 3:30 on 45.
So you mean I could have
Diabetes and not even know it?
Well, then why would I want to know?
Heart disease, amputations, stroke, blindness can all be caused by diabetes. But with early detection and treatment, diabetes can be kept under control. So it's critical that you know.
I didn't know.
Didn't know.
I didn't know.
Find out if you're at risk and what to do. Don't be blind to diabetes. Call 1-800-DIABETES now.
Certain people may be at risk for developing Parkinson's disease. Actually, it depends on what you do for a living. A study in this week's issue of Neurology found exposure to hydrocarbon solvents led to an increased risk to severe cases of Parkinson's. The study identified which jobs most often involve those solvents. At highest risk are those people who work in the petroleum, plastic, and rubber industries. Also, painters, mechanics, and printers are at the highest risk. Well, millions of people, mostly women, suffer with fibromyalgia, a very painful muscle condition. Tonight, we meet a local woman who knows the excruciating pain this condition firsthand. These days, Jolene Bell Makowitsky doesn't skip a beat. But just a few years ago, she was in so much pain she could hardly walk some days.
Okay. Can you feel that? Can you feel the difference?
No one knows what causes her painful muscle condition called fibromyalgia. Like so many women with the disease, she suffered for years before she found a doctor to diagnose her condition.
It would feel like shards of glass were coming out of my hip, and so it was a very electrifying pain, very sharp, and to the point where I couldn't rotate my hip, either walking or to the side.
There's tender points in the chest area.
18 different tender areas in all. And the director of the Arthritis Care and Fibromyalgia Treatment Program at Abbott Northwestern Hospital, Jenny Franzen, says nearly every woman with this condition has them.
They will literally cry out sometimes because it's so painful just to touch their muscles.
Jolene still has fibromyalgia, but most days she's pain-free thanks to exercise and some simple dietary changes.
Exactly. It's my treat.
Now, if you think you have this condition, you'd want to see a rheumatologist or an endocrinologist. You can attend a free seminar on fibromyalgia tomorrow evening at Abbott Northwestern Hospital from 5 to 7 o'clock. Well, from health news now, we turn to a few interesting consumer stories. Here's Cale with more on that. Cale?
How you doing way over there?
Yeah. How's the weather over there?
Using all of the set.
Yeah,
a bit humid
bet.
over here. It's probably dry over there. Well, tonight we're going to share with you some national recognition for the Twin Cities, but it's not the kind of thing you really want to be recognized for. You've heard about the Crosstown interchange. Well, it's a mess. According to a new AAA study, the Crosstown is the 5th worst commuter hotspot in the nation. There are worse bottlenecks in New Orleans, New York City, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. Now, we talked with some people who are forced, maybe you could say punished, to drive the Crosstown every day. One driver tells us you can beat the traffic with a little common sense.
It's when people become inattentive, when people become discourteous, when people are trying to get somewhere too fast for road conditions, big problems can occur real fast.
Besides the design, maybe the biggest reason why the Crosstown is ranked the 5th worst nationally, about 170,000 cars and trucks drive through here every day. Rainbow Foods is in trouble with the federal government for breaking child labor laws. The U.S. Department of Labor is ordering Rainbow to pay a $175,000 fine. The feds are also telling Rainbow to audit itself frequently to make sure its stores are in compliance with the law. The government says it found 252 minors working illegally in 28 Rainbow stores in Minnesota, along with 2 in Wisconsin. In pain, the fine Rainbow admits no wrongdoing. Northwest Airlines is spending millions of dollars to keep its international service competitive with other airlines. Northwest is revamping its world business class to provide more legroom and seat recline. The enhancements will make Northwest International fleet of planes like the 747 as spacious as other airlines. Northwest will start installing the new business class seats later this month. As a result, first class service is being dropped on all international flights. Northwest and its partner KLM will also improve audio and video choices along with better food. Passengers who pay for business class or international first class represent a huge chunk of Northwest revenue. Harris?
All right. The federal government is taking on the entertainment industry, particularly the people who make violent videos and violent video games. See who it says should take more responsibility for that. And talk about a high-stress job. The space shuttle crewmen earned their paychecks today. You can bet on that. We'll show you how coming up.
For the love of God, I don't want to die tonight.
Your jugular vein is very tender. I am an equal opportunity vampire.
Oh, you are?
Yes. They have told me that you have elected this entertainer.
I'm going to have to ask you to leave because you're scaring the little kids. You should take your show and get the heck out of here.
That should be $5 to go bite the government.
You have a lovely throat.
Are you really Dracula?
I am Dracula. That is even stranger than I am. Join me for classic and cult horror and science fiction, Saturday nights at midnight, only on Channel 45.
You know what I think? I think you forgot to lock your door. A lot of people do that. They forget. It's too bad because all crime needs is a chance. Don't give it the chance. It's my job to teach you to protect yourselves. Make it your job to learn. Like, light up your doors. Lights make burglars nervous. Oh, and one more thing. Lock your door. Take a bite out of crime.
Welcome back. A new federal report blasts the entertainment industry for marketing explicit movies, video games, and music directly to kids.
Federal regulators say retailers need to be more responsible in restricting access to the mature and often violent videos. Channel 45's Janine Johnson joins us now with that story. Janine?
Well, Harris and Kale, the Federal Trade Commission report says 80% of R-rated movies and 70% of mature-rated video games are marketed to minors. The FTC report also indicates retailers do little to enforce the rules, a claim that's pushed 3 major retailers to develop stricter policies regarding the sale of violent video games. Violent video games like this one will soon be harder to get, especially if you're under 17. Kmart, Walmart, and Target recently announced new policies that include checking IDs of anyone trying to purchase a mature-rated video game. Media watchdogs say in light of the federal report, it's a step in the right direction.
That's why I think that the solution to this is not going to be in laws and regulations. The solution, I think, is going to be in education and everybody taking responsibility. That means parents, that means producers, distributors, retailers.
Teenagers we spoke with say the new store policies are too extreme.
My brother's 16 and he plays mature games and he acts pretty mature about it. It's not like he's going to go out and shoot anyone when he plays a shooting game.
But this mother of 3 from St. Paul disagrees.
If they see violence, no matter what their parents tell them, that they will do what they see. If my children were ever interested in purchasing something like that and they were underage, I would want them to be carded and I wouldn't want them to have access to those materials.
Parents are also concerned about the easy access to R-rated movies. Many kids are purchasing tickets to PG movies and sneaking into the R movies advertisers have been marketing to them.
Well, Janine, what about those advertisers? What about the FTC maybe planning to impose regulations on those people?
Well, not at this point. For now, the Clinton administration is hoping the advertisers will voluntarily stop marketing explicit movies and video games to children. We'll just have to see what happens next.
All right, Janine, thank you very much.
2 spacewalkers made history today as they walked further in space than no man has ever walked before. One American and one Russian astronaut spent about 6 hours working on the International Space Station. In doing so, they accomplished the longest tethered spacewalk in NASA history, 110 feet from the space shuttle Atlantis. The astronauts attached part of a compass that allows the space station to know which way it's pointed. Might help. They also installed power, data, and TV cables.
Yeah, having direction. That's always a good thing.
That's a nice thing to have.
Flooding in Egan may have come and gone, but the trouble isn't over for victims of July storms. We'll show you what battle they're now fighting.
And forget the hat, how about just throwing a wallet into the ring? Coming up, we'll show you what senatorial candidates coughed up to run this election year.
I'm Steph.
I'm Mario.
I'm Annie.
And I'm 45.
And I'm 45. And I'm 45.
I'm Herschel, and I'm 45.
I'm Claudia. I'm Mary. I'm Stephanie, and I'm 45. I'm 45. And I'm 45. 45.
My name is Mary, and I'm 45.
You're looking at soldiers. Citizen soldiers and their families. Members of the Army National Guard. They spend 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year in intense training to be ready when they're needed by our country or communities. They live at home, building civilian experience, pursuing higher education and personal goals. They're friends, neighbors, teachers, accountants, fathers and mothers, sisters and sons, getting good pay and benefits while giving something back to the country they love. Join them. Call 1-800-GO-GUARD and discover the part-time job with full-time pride.
In the Army National Guard, you can.
Good evening. I am Dracula. Join me for classic and cult horror and science fiction. Saturday nights at midnight, only on Channel 45. Obey! With 12 inches of rain in 3 hours, it was evident that it was going to come this way.
Now, more than 2 months after some terrible flooding in Egan, the water may be gone, but the troubles for some homeowners continue. Dozens of homeowners thought they'd seen the worst of their problems in July when heavy rain flooded them out.
Now, actually, they have learned the worst may still be ahead of them. Jacqueline Getty has tonight's update from our newsroom. Jacqueline?
K.L. Harris, the floodwaters in Egan disappeared almost as quickly as they came. But now the hidden damage they left behind may have lasting effects on the health of their victims.
Excuse me now, my nose is going to run because we're talking about this.
Mold, and whether it's permeating the Johnstons' walls or not, they've been sick since the flood.
We've both had really bad colds. There has been a lot of sneezing, runny nose. But again, you can't tell if it's from the mold or a cold.
Health officials estimate that 2,000 homes in the Egan area have unsafe levels of mold in them, even if their basements flooded only a few inches last July. And the Johnstons saw much more water than that.
We had to destroy all the furniture that was down there. Nothing was salvageable.
Student volunteers ripped out the walls and bleached the floors. Despite all that work, the Johnstons don't feel any safer or any healthier.
So we're hoping for the best, but we have to re-insulate now because it's almost winter. Now we don't know if we're going to be insulating over mold, which is sort of scary in itself.
And meanwhile, the bills are mounting at this home, and bringing in someone to test for mold is one more expense the Johnstons can't afford, and at the same time can't afford to skip.
You know, a tornado can come in and completely destroy your house. Insurance covers a total rebuild. But a flood happens, no. So that's where we are.
Some of the symptoms that you may have mold in your home are if you have difficulty in breathing, a dry cough, itchy eyes, a sore throat, or a headache. Unfortunately, these are the same symptoms that are commonly linked with allergies. So if you have any doubts, your best move is to get your home tested.
Jacqueline, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Dave Dahl is rejoining us now with the promised 5-day forecast to come.
Yeah. And the primary forecast for tomorrow. A lot of folks heading out to the polls tomorrow, and it's going to be a pretty decent day. Boy, did it cool off tonight. That cool front came through. Made a big change here in the eastern part of the state, and that change mainly was due to the temperature dropping and also relative humidity is going down. The dew point dropped almost 30 degrees from this afternoon to now, and for tomorrow, breezy and cool statewide. For all the congressional districts across the state, it's going to be 60s up north, 70 down here in the south, but partly cloudy skies statewide and into Wisconsin. Around the Rice Lake area, they're going to top out in the mid to upper 60s for highs. We should be right around 70 here in the Twin Cities. We're going to take you back to last night and watch the rain as it finally started to move out of Eau Claire after dropping 7.5 inches of rainfall. Now, watch how closely tonight resembles last night. Now, this is the first area of showers and storms moving out last night. Then we had a big break of about 12 hours. But then late this afternoon, that cool front touched off some more scattered showers and storms right over the eastern part of our state, western Wisconsin. And it looks very similar to what happened last night, except now those storms have pushed a little farther to the east and southeast, very rain-soaked areas in central and eastern Wisconsin. Here in the Twin Cities area, though, our skies have cleared. Our temperatures have dropped as well. The White Bear Lake area down to 58. Forest Lake 59, 57 in Coon Rapids, as well as Stillwater at 57, 58 in the Afton area. And Hastings right now, after a high today of 88, and it was humid, as we said, dew points in the 70s. Now they're in the 40s. Our current temperature in Hastings is at 59 degrees. And we are expecting to see that moisture and that temperature continue to drop off. Currently, right here in the metro, we're at 61, 52 though at Rice Lake, 52 as well at Grand Marais, 51 in Duluth. Back out west, temperatures basically in the lower 50s, all the way to the eastern Dakotas, Fargo at 53, and Grand Forks also at 52 degrees. Around the country, a hurricane that's weakening off the west coast of Mexico, but a little tropical storm that is now becoming very close to a hurricane. That's Florence. It's moving toward the west-southwest at about 6 miles per hour. It's off the coast of North Carolina. We're going to keep our eyes on that for the next 24 hours. This is the big line of storms that is now pushed just to our east, and here's the reason. A frontal system that's pushing toward the southeast, taking the moisture out of the state, and as high pressure builds in, we're going to see more sunshine tomorrow, but temperatures are going to be cooler by about 10 to 15 degrees across much of the state of Minnesota, and the high pressure will mean more northwesterly winds across the state as well. So for that Weather Center forecast, overnight tonight, we're calling for the temperature to drop down to about 50. It will be breezy, northwest winds still 10 to 20. Tomorrow morning, starting out on the breezy side, 52. Take the sweater for the bus stop tomorrow morning. By the afternoon, sunshine and high temperature up to about 70. As we look ahead, it does warm up a little bit on Wednesday, but a chance of showers and storms. Here comes that 5-day outlook we promised you. Possibility of storms on Wednesday and again on Saturday. And high temperatures on a roller coaster this week. 76 Wednesday, 68 on Friday, but back up to 78 by Saturday.
Oh, not too bad. Hey, you know, live broadcast, first time out of the gate. There are going to be, you know, some bumps and bruises along the way. And we probably are opening ourselves up for this, but we do want to hear from people. So again, our website is KSTC-45.com. Now, the good news is that was KSTC-45.com. Your forecast looks really good. Maybe they'll write and they'll say, Dave, awesome forecast.
They never do that.
It's funny,
always complain.
Yeah. It's funny how we get complaints. It is. We get a lot of them.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dave.
Because earlier in the newscast we said, or we showed you just KSTC.com. That's not right. If you've been on the internet, you're at some Kentucky company. So make sure you put a 45 at the end of it. Who do you want to see run for senator in November? And how much money did your pick spend to win? Now we're going to take a look inside at the dollar signs behind the candidates coming up.
For 28 years, Congressman Bruce Vento has made his name in politics. Today, his name was left on a St. Paul landmark. Watch for the story next.
They say to have a successful talk show, you got to know your audience. I'm here trying to let people know about the talk show.
We watch it every day.
This year is going to be even better.
You're so down to earth. You seen the talk show yet? I just saw it at the gym last week. Who would have ever done it? I like that. I just love you.
Watch Queen Latifah.
Woo!
Latifah, television for you, and you, and you.
I totally love you.
Weekdays at 10 on 45.
Some things you won't see at the Sydney Games. The field judge javelin throw.
Summer snowmobiling. The human slingshot. The synchronized bike ball. And squirrel water skiing. New this season with Ahmad Rashad. Everyday people, extraordinary events, all caught on tape. Real TV.
Weeknights at 5 on 45.
Well, this year's U.S. Senate race in Minnesota is going to smash all previous campaign spending records. $16 million and still climbing.
Yeah, the biggest budget item is for television advertising, and we continue to hear candidates saying TV stations, which have been granted licenses to operate on public airwaves, should provide free advertising to political candidates. Well, tonight, Chief Political Reporter Tom Hauser takes a closer look at that issue.
Some prices.
As your senator, Rebecca Yanish.
I'll fight to make vote Chris.
When it comes to political campaigning in the year 2000, television is king. If a candidate wants to win a statewide political campaign, it almost can't be done without television.
That's why people get so disgusted with government.
And television advertising doesn't come cheaply.
Over 3/4 of my pre-primary budget is for the production of paid media and then the placements.
Even for the wealthy Mark Dayton, that's a lot of money. His pre-primary budget for the U.S. Senate race is $5.2 million. That means he spent at least $3.9 million on advertising, most of it for television, but also including radio, direct mail, and newspapers.
Whenever the TV stations, the radio stations would like to give us discounted rates, I would welcome them because that'd go a long way to reducing the cost of these.
We need campaign finance reform badly, and this is a perfect example of why.
DFL-endorsed candidate Jerry Janicich is at the other end of the television spending spectrum.
I'm voting for Jerry because we don't need another millionaire in the U.S. Senate.
I'm Jerry Janicich.
The cash-poor Janicich campaign finally raised enough money to put this simple TV ad on the air.
Thank you guys, and I'm going to win.
Janicich centers his campaign on the notion he's the only non-millionaire in the U.S. Senate race. Ironically, he couldn't afford to buy a 30-second spot on the perfect show to make that point.
Let's play who wants to be a millionaire. Come on.
We were interested in buying time during Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and it would have cut it drastically into what else we could do.
So just how much does television advertising cost here in Minnesota's largest media market? A 30-second spot during 10 o'clock newscasts on KSTP, CARE, and WCCO range from $2,000 to $5,000. Early evening newscast spots range from $500 to $1,000. At those rates, Janicich claims it would cost $150,000 to $200,000 a week to run an effective TV ad campaign.
Broadcast media, both television and radio, should be providing a reasonable amount of free airtime to candidates.
Mark Ash of Common Cause says his organization supports a proposal by the Alliance for Better Campaigns. The proposal calls for every television station to provide 5 minutes a night of free airtime for candidates. They recommend this time be provided for 30 days prior to every primary and general election.
This would at least assure that every candidate, every credible candidate, had a minimal ability to get to the public.
I think Common Cause, although well-meaning, is very mistaken.
Stanley S. Hubbard of Hubbard Broadcasting, which owns KSTP-TV, says political candidates already get lower rates than other advertisers. He says there's also plenty of coverage of local, state, and national politics.
They do get a lot of free airtime on the news, and people seem to forget that. They get a lot of free airtime on Nightline, right? They get free airtime on our station between 6:30 and 7 p.m. It doesn't cost them a nickel.
Here at KSTP, candidates for statewide office are invited here to our studios and given a couple of minutes of free airtime to make a statement about their candidacy before the general election. Common Cause says that's good, but not good enough.
A one-time opportunity is not sufficient. News coverage is not a substitution for direct voter contact.
But as long as candidates decide it's more effective to reach voters through their televisions than by knocking on their doors, this political debate will continue. Tom Hauser, Eyewitness News.
So far, few television stations are offering candidates significant amounts of free airtime. The Alliance for Better Campaigns estimates candidates will spend nearly $600 million nationally on TV advertising.
U.S. Representative Bruce Vento may be leaving politics, but his name will stay fresh in the minds of some school children for years to come. The St. Paul Elementary School was renamed in Vento's honor today. Consolidated, located just a half block from where Vento grew up, is now called Bruce F. Vento Elementary. At the ceremony today, several items that represented the school and the representative were put in a time capsule which will be opened in 10 years. Vento is a former teacher himself. He decided not to run for re-election after being diagnosed with lung cancer in February. After 6 months of treatment, this is great news. He tells us he's cancer-free. Vento served nearly 30 years in Minnesota politics.
Earlier, we told you longtime basketball coach for Indiana University, Bobby Knight, was out. Now, one of the best Indiana players is out, too. Joe Schmidt will have details on that.
Plus, we're going to talk about another Vikings win. Joe, next, with an interesting sportscast. Stick around for it.
45.
Is known as the land of
Nothing.
If I die, I'd want you to remarry.
Yeah, looks like I'm going to make that mistake twice.
Is laughter the response you're going for in the bedroom?
No, but that's what I always get.
Where's the emergency exit?
Paying people to do right? You're killing me.
Channel 45. It's What's Next.
Joe Schmidt joining us now with something a little bit different. We're going to call it Schmidt Unplugged.
Without the acoustical guitar.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a ukulele. And I've got a little
please bring that in.
A little sock puppet I call Topo Gigio.
Oh, goodness. Oh, we are so out of time.
No, we're just, basically what we're going to do is we're going to talk sports. We're not going to read sports. We're not going to do anything fancy about sports. We're going to talk sports, have a little video in there, and I think we're going to do all right. Well, I'll start talking today about the Vikings because the Vikings obviously won their game yesterday against Miami. Now, I want to talk about one player in particular, what Chris Carter did on the football field yesterday. We know about the stats. We know everything he did. But I think Chris Carter does a few things that no other player in the NFL can do. And take a look at the catch that he had in this football game yesterday. One hand to protect himself. Here we go. Watch this. One hand to protect himself.
Wow.
That's like glue there.
Stickum. Remember the old Stickum thing?
But the reason he makes this catch is you see him down at Mankato, and you see him after practice every game on that machine. It's like a pitching machine for a kid's baseball. They pump these footballs in there at about 60 miles an hour, and Carter can catch the ball one-handed in case a situation like that happens to a game. He caught 7, he caught 6, he caught 5. No, that was a little run. That went a little too long on that. But Chris Carter, obviously a Hall of Famer, and that's why he makes those catches like that.
And made great catches yesterday and really the big factor in the game.
Well, and the defense did really well, too. They held Miami to 49 yards rushing. That's pretty good. Although, I don't think Miami really has that many weapons to
No, Miami's not a great offensive team, but they'll get a much better test next week against New England. We're going to move on now and talk about another great athlete, the guy that I've had the fortune of covering, and now he's going into the U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame. Neil Broughton, of course, is basically Mr. Hockey in the state of Minnesota. And let's take a look at what Neil is up to, because Neil is going into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. And Neil right there scored a winning goal for the Gophers in the NCAA tournament. This is Neil playing for the Olympic team. He's won at every level.
This is back in 1980?
Back in 1980, and then, of course, he played for the North Stars for a long time. And then later in his career, he was traded to New Jersey, where he won the Stanley Cup. So he's won at absolutely every single level. He's a winner of the Hobie Baker Award, which is given to the top college player in all of hockey. And now he's going into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame in Eveleth, Minnesota.
All right.
Do you know where Eveleth is?
I have no clue. Where is it?
Well, Eveleth is way, way, way up north.
I bet it's north, I was going to say.
It's way up north. They're almost in the Canadian Hockey Hall of Fame when you get there. And this little unplugged would not be complete if we wouldn't talk about
Bobby Knight.
Bobby Knight.
Bobby Knight, a close personal friend. Yeah, this whole Knight thing has gotten a little bit crazy already. Bobby Knight's already talking about holding a news conference tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's going to be on ESPN tomorrow. Bobby Knight doing a 1-hour show with Jeremy Schaap.
It's like a criminal with wrongly accused or something.
Well, he was out with the protesters last night with a bullhorn.
Yeah,
He was kind of getting them all.
You almost think he was going to get a barrel of beer and say, come on, join me, guys.
Just walk away.
The interesting thing is some of the players are now talking about getting the heck out of Dodge, and one of the players is one of the key players for the team. This is Dane Fife. He may be the best player on the team. He has said he's going to transfer, which I think right now, a lot of the players riding on a little emotion right now, and of course the fans are riding on emotion. Some of these same fans were the same ones who were upset when they kept Knight.
Right,
After,
I know.
Some of those people were the ones that were here for the biogenetics protest, too.
Yeah, and some of those fans thought it was a panty raid and just happened to show up and so forth.
Thanks,
All right.
Joe.
All right.
Unplugged,
Unplugged.
as it were.
That was
Thank
unplugged,
you
what
very
you
much.
just
Bring
said.
the ukulele next time.
I
That'd be
will.
fun. Okay, we'll look forward to that.
Thanks, Joe. It appears Olympic torch runners are in season.
Yeah, up next, the latest attack as a spectator tries to douse the Sydney-bound plane.
Honey, would you get me some ice cream?
Ice cream. Yeah.
Thank you.
Some things you just can't do without. It happens every night, all across America.
This week on Lover or Loser.
Give me some of the abs.
These guys have the flash.
I have excellent hand-eye coordination.
But they don't have the cash.
Chad is so cheap. He's never paid for anything.
Should they stay?
I used to be an exotic dancer.
Or should they go?
I'm shaking. I can't decide what girl I want. I'm not a dog. I'm just single.
Find out this week on Lover or Loser.
Weeknights at 10 on 45.
Lover or loser? How would we do on that show? Don't want to know. Hey,
I'm not going to answer that.
Finally tonight, you know, being an Olympic torch runner is becoming a very dangerous job.
Yeah, it is, actually. This is the third time a spectator has lunged at the runner, this time trying to wrestle away the torch. Okay, by your own, I think is the thing to say here. Australia's former world surfing champion, Tom Carroll, took a hard fall to the grass yesterday as someone knocked him down and tried to grab the torch. Let's take another look at that quickly. Carroll did manage to hang on to the torch, and we hear that everything is just fine with Mr. Carroll tonight.
First show?
Yeah, lots
Thanks
of
for
fun.
joining us.
Good night.